There you go. All right. Can you hear me? No. So, good afternoon. We're here to talk about failures in pharma, or how to avoid failures in pharma. And we're trying to do this a little bit in a different way. So you see this QR code here. I ask everybody quickly to get up. This has been done yesterday. It was very successful. And once you're getting up, or you can do also burpees or squats, and then you take then you scan the QR code and you find the topics of our speeches, of our presentations. You vote for them. You put them in order, and based on that order, we're going to do then our panel discussion.
There's actually someone squatting. Huh? That's very brave.
We should do too.
Yeah, so we should squat.
There's still some standing or squatting or burping. It's really hard to see. Okay, we're now waiting for the results. I hope it works.
Yes, it will.
All right, so, okay, let's see if you voted for my topic or not. So, novelty is the new normal. This is a 4, then we have 3.2. Well, this is actually mine. So obviously no one wants to know how advanced finance is ahead of pharma. Fine. And then we have, Julien's failure approach. So first one, clear winner is novelty is the new normal. So I'm asking then, who was it?
It's me.
Marco. Yeah. Marco to
clear winner.
Help
us.
us.
Let's see if I can. Can you pull up the clip? Okay, if not, I'll just start speaking. So listen, I'll be brief with this. So I was listening to a podcast last week, and I don't know about you, but I feel anxiety all the time with all the news that are coming and everything that is changing, right? So one of the things that I listened to this is that we are in what's called a technology super cycle. So the first one was the steam engine, which I don't know the demographics here, but I don't think any of us have gone through that. Then there was the internet, which a lot of us went through that. And now we are in a technology super cycle driven by three things. AI, which we kind of touched during yesterday. The second thing is wearables. And the third thing is generative biology. And generative biology is basically how you create new drugs or bring drugs to market. And the idea which she talks about, this lady I quoted yesterday, Amy Wood, is that, if you can put up the next slide, there's a really, well. So I read this in a book a few years ago. On the left, there's a very calm lake, yeah? And on the right, a waterfall. As humans, what we do is not to say, oh, we love the lake, is we go to the waterfall and we say, stop, 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 stop. Yeah? And this idea that the novelty is the new normal that she was talking about is, as hard as it is, novelty is not gonna stop. So we think about, let's have just a bit of lake, and when we have a bit of lake, we're gonna innovate. I don't think we will live this way, our generation. It's more around, okay, we saw some news yesterday about OpenAI new launch or Google. Let's take 10 minutes today to test it, because we will never actually find the time, because the change is just very big. So that's what I wanted to pass in terms of an idea for discussion with my colleagues.
Very good.
All right, and on that note, you see here the QR code with Marco's face on it. This leads to the Q&A. So if you want to please scan that if you have any questions, so we then actually can either discuss them right now or at the end. So then it would be, I guess you are the runner-up, the second winner. Please go ahead.
Well, I don't know if we would call that a win, but actually I will wing it a little bit and give you a story that is happening at the moment. So, to be live and nimble. And if you recall yesterday when we were telling about the things that are very difficult to change, and like one of the most difficult things is culture. But actually there is something that's even more difficult is our own, self-identity and how we operate. Mm-hmm. And one thing I know myself pretty well. I know I have tons of flaws. Ask my wife, she would say I have way more than I believe. Ask my children, it's another story. But I know myself. And at the moment, for full disclosure, I'm in the middle of a very intense travel run. So actually, when I was looking at the pictures from yesterday, and the one from the year before, I have aged 10 years, so this is not a good look for me. But I'm basically, when we travel a lot, I lost complete control on my emails, on things, etc. So I will figure things out, but I'm not worried. There is one travel I was not worried. I say, hey, here I know presentations, the workshop, I'll improvise it, it's all good. I'm actually discovering, because I certainly have missed many emails, the format, very cool, guys. Yeah. But I'm discovering right now for the full disclosure. So that's how much out of touch I am to everything. But again, relying on myself, I can wing it, I can improvise, that's okay. Same thing yesterday with the presentation. That was long prepared, but also I know that when I do a presentation, me being half Swiss, I have a mental clock that is pretty efficient, and I know that I can start talking, and usually I talk for 20 minutes, pretty sharp, which leaves usually 5 to 10 minutes for Q&As, etc. And I went through my presentation, never looked at the trusted timer, which I discovered actually 5 seconds before the end of the presentation. And I saw oh, shoot, there is only 2 seconds left. So did I miss something? And then after, I just found out that the slot I had was 20 minutes overall, which led to a lot of frustration from many participants, got very strong feedback from Lode, hey, topic was nice, but we wanted to discuss it. So main learning here, learning from that failure from yesterday is, I will shut up now to leave much more time at the end of the session so we can have the Q&A that I was owing you guys from yesterday. So trying to learn and apply failures on the go.
All right, perfect. And you've seen that the QR code changed again with Julien's face on it. So, and I guess...
You see how younger I looked? That's bad. This is very bad.
You just didn't drink the evening before.
Yeah.
All right, so that would be then Michal going next.
I think so, yeah. So maybe you'll have the slides. I have a funny image. You can go to that's funny too, but you can go to the next one actually. So you all saw the guy outside that said I'll be back, right? And I don't want to. I read the book and I thought, what can I share about it? And I don't want to discuss his political views or actually his successes or failures. I just want to give you his context and his approach to failure, and then try to link it to pharma, and also try to be brief so we can have a good chat afterwards. So the context is clear. So he had no clue what he's doing, and he still became a politician and a governor of California. And California was actually in a bad shape as a state. And I leave it at that. I do recommend the book. But if we go to the next slide, and people that know me, I'm a big fan of this animal in relation to CX. So this is a real animal. It lives in the Swiss mountains. It gives you eggs, wool, meat, and is a nice little pet. It's called the eierlegende Wollmilchsau. And in my usual speeches, I always say, we, CX, data, marketing, in pharma, we have to be this animal. We have to be the jack of all trades. But if we talk about failures and how we can make them bearable or actually turn them in success, I would say something completely else today. I will say focus on small failures. This is very, very important, because if you have small failures, and if we link that to a campaign, and you think, oh wow, I'm super overwhelmed about tagging and taxonomy, or modular content, or AI, then it is helpful if you split things up into small pieces, because always, and I'll be also fully transparent, having worked for pharma for many years, you don't want to mess up your career, and you don't want to mess up the company's pipeline, right? But if you focus on small failures, if you remove your roadblocks first, so to your point, if you go for the AI, which is very scary, and you try to learn it on a personal note first, then you can make failures much more bearable and turn them into actual successes. So yesterday we had a talk, and we talked about SpaceX that ships the rockets into the sky. And actually I researched this morning, and they have a culture of failure, and they're shipping billion-dollar rockets into the sky, and they say, well, let's fail one up. And I think in our daily lives, we can split that in small pieces. And if a campaign, modular content, micro-segmenting, if that doesn't fit in the first approach, still you can make it a success afterwards. So I guess, and then we go to the last slide to also keep it short. I guess, pain is inevitable. We will all face pain and failure. But I guess, burn your pinky first before putting your full hand on the hot jar and burn your full hand. So embrace the pain, focus on small things, remove your blockers, and go in iterations. That's my quick summary here. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Michal. All right, so that's left with me, last one standing. When I thought about how a failure culture could be implemented in pharma or how they can be improved, I looked at actually my past life, and in 2009, there are not many people who know this, but I founded an online asset management company called Sincera in Switzerland. We were the first online asset manager that was focusing on exchange-traded funds. So what we did was we allocated the funds of our customers into rather conservative asset classes. They would not correlate too much with each other. And then depending on certain events, stock prices go up, stock markets crashing, or other predefined events, we would then what's called rebalance this portfolio according to someone's risk profile, risk appetite versus risk affinity. That's 15 years ago. And also back then, for every customer onboarding, we had to fill in half a dozen of KYC forms, knowing your customer forms, because the regulators really wanted to know who this customer is, how his risk profile looks like, where the money is coming from, is it taxed or not, and what they're going to do with the money in the future. But we also surveyed the customers back then. We asked them for structured feedback for us in order to fully understand the customer's preferences, the behaviors, where they want to go. Someone wants to invest for a short time because they want to buy a new car. Someone has enough money they want to invest for his grandkids and for later on. So 15 years ago, we completely understood the customer preferences. Fast forward, when I then started Capptoo and we started doing pharma projects in 2018, completely different, but we've done now more than 500 pharma projects, and I'm mildly surprised how little the pharma marketeers know about the physicians. Surely not you, but all the others. No, we all know the KOLs typically. We know them very, very well. But we overlook the general physician, what actually they want, what keeps them up at night. How could we help them? So with our company and with our software, this software actually you're seeing up here when you do the QR code, we have 400 HCP surveys running at every moment in time and collecting valuable insights for feedbacks for the farmers to improve what they're doing. And the same for HCCs. And the common denominator is that the physicians, they have everything but time. And this is the first takeaway, if we somehow can manage to look at what they're doing, how we're interacting with the physicians, and we can automate or improve these processes, communications, product service offerings, also for the MPAs, not just for the physician themselves, then we are really in the winning. And the second KPI is we got to close the gap with the physicians. So 2 years ago, when we started reaching out to HCPs and doing the market research, we broke through the leadership team of some of our customers, and we convinced them that it's really a good thing to finally understand the physician. The previous speaker talked about all these personas. Well, this is surely very, very good, but what about surveying the individual physician for his needs? To really understand how they tick, and then we can tailor our communication, our offering to them. One physician told me about 2 weeks ago that sometimes he feels like an invasion of pharma sales rep that turn his waiting room into a meeting hub. And then I'm wondering, and also when you look at the statistics from our surveys, do they really want another Viva rep-enabled email, another HCP portal with a different login? Or is there something else what they want, But basically, they all said, please tell the pharma marketeers, help us to save time. So is that a failure that pharma for 2 decades after finance still don't really understand their customers? Maybe. I think it is a failure, actually. We always tend to develop solutions that we think the physician must need, versus asking them. They will tell us, and if we make them believe that their input is actually valuable, and we're actually going to do something with their inputs in order to create a better HCP experience, then they are very willing to give us feedback. Maybe you have a different opinion, so I'm open for questions. Do you have a question, Michal?
Very good. Yeah, no, I think the example of oncology, I have an example of oncology which reflects what you're saying. In one of the companies I worked, we asked, okay, what do the oncologists really need? And the majority said, I don't need information about your drugs. I know, I'm a doctor, I know them. But what I know is help to run my practice, help to run my team, help to communicate with patients, help to communicate with my MPAs, and so on. So complete different angle than what we believed we must deliver. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we open for question, right?
All right, so let me check our dashboard. Give me a second.
Any questions in the room? Pharma Insights.
I have it there?
Yeah, you can have it.
Okay, so let me... Okay, there's one for Marco. Okay, so we see the negative sentiment and the positive ones. So Marco, can you provide examples of recent novel practices that significantly impacted the pharma industry?
So I know some of you are in the room. The companies in pharma, and again, this is only the public information that I have, that I've seen implementing innovation well. I have a few examples. I think all of you seen the partnership of Moderna with OpenAI. And I think what they did is they really made this part of the culture. It's not one thing that you need to tick in a box, is that everyone is living and breathing that, and you have that from the top. The second one, I know there's people in the room from Grunenthal. They applied, and I think Florent and the team, they do a really good job. They applied something which is really playful. They have this idea of the catamaran, that they go very, very fast, and they do that. And I think other companies like Merck and Pfizer are thinking, Merck is created this MyGPT, which they use it internally. I think the idea for all of these things is to become their side buddy. Even before thinking about use cases, corporate use cases, they think of how they make it work for each one of their employees. Yeah. So those are examples that I've seen recently working really well in the industry.
Excellent. And I point out another question that, for Mark, another one. How can companies actually cultivate a culture of consistent novelty? How do you assume companies can do this?
Novelty.
Yeah.
I think we were talking about micro failures.
Yeah.
I think we need to embrace micro successes. I was thinking when we're kids, the biggest milestone is we go to a test and we pass or we fail, right? So if we don't pass the test, we're not good. If we pass, we are very good. I like to think about micro successes. I told this story. I change my signature every week, and I put a creative of the week. There was one that I've put one week, which was Darth Vader. Reality is an assistant to the emperor. The LinkedIn version is assistant to the emperor, chief dark lord, humbled and honored to be with the empire. And what was interesting is I started realizing that a lot of other people, not only in the team, started changing their signatures. And again, we're still a serious company, we're still a serious industry, but they kind of celebrated that. Now, can you argue, will this lead us to a much better drug or outcome? Maybe, maybe not. But what I know is that by celebrating that and replicating that, people feel more, okay, it's something new. Instead of this guy being crazy, I'll try to be a little bit crazy also, so I'll embrace the novelty. So that's how I would answer that question.
Excellent, thanks a lot. So then there's two questions addressed to me. Why do you think pharma is so opposed to asking the customers what they want? If the key insight is that HCP have no time and too many reps in the waiting room, then what has all this omnichannel and AI really added? Well, they're both very good questions, but I strongly believe that when we do our research, we do generally know what the different personas want, and we try everything, like Gilead, the speakers before also said, they have kind of, they know which channel to use, they know which approaches work the best for a different certain persona groups. But it's not true for every individual physician. And because of Gilead before, when I bring a project quickly, an example where we asked HCCs, also the healthcare consumers, what they really want, and then we correlated this with gynecologists in that case. And it ended up that the gynecologist would want to have more time for doing breast cancer awareness, to go out basically the street and talk about this. And the healthcare consumers wanted to have free access to such a service. So what we did was something a bit crazy. Also with Gilead together, we purchased shipping containers. We remodeled them into doctor practices, and we went to a few different cities. That was in Switzerland. We went to different cities where we had our gynecology teams, and we promoted this online. In the media, was in the television. So, and it turned out that within 9 days, we consulted, or gynecologists consulted 800 women and 1 man. Because men can also get breast cancer. So, and this was really then an effect of listening to the health consumer and listening to the gynecologists and then melting these two. So I'm not saying that we should not send rep-enabled emails, by no means, but maybe we really need to tailor them to the individual needs of the physician, of each physician.
I have a question to Julien, because you said you have a very tight travel schedule, right? How do you see, like in your company as well, the innovation, and through your travels, how you can spread all the world, and the risks and the rewards and the micro successes and the micro failures?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, and also that's one thing. I was quite skeptical quite first. I got cozy, like after COVID, not traveling again. We can do everything virtual, etc. And being back on the travel, I think, sometimes having a good mix, being face to face, exactly, to be able to share, to explain, to have those side discussions, but also for me, going to not only the micro successes, but really the engagement and the buy-in it's very tough in a virtual room to see the silent ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was really something like, and for a project, you have always the loud mouth. Usually that's me. So that is that is taking over, getting overly enthusiastic, etc. And what I really learned with all those travels, also going to countries I had never gone to. So now my role going global, I'm going to regions that I had never gone to. So different cultural differences, etc. And then seeing like, okay, finding a way that you are face to face, being able to say, hey, perhaps that person might not want to say it in front of the whole room, but you say, hey, that's a good point. And then you validate the good point. Again, micro success. Hey, your idea is good. It might actually be worth being brought back to the opinion. So you create, much better wealth of knowledge. So for me, that's really something that I saw that we lost a little bit by going virtual only, and that we can gain back by having that. And I really cherish from those workshops.
Okay, cool. And I see actually on the screen there's a bit of fear of missing out. Do you also see that? And now with going, having this physical presence, that it's a bit like, okay, we all want to go after COVID.
So. Yeah, I guess it depends. It depends on the volume, because that's what I'm also telling everyone. They're like, oh, this is so cool. Like, cool, yes, it's nice. I will not complain. And I have the best job in the world. I'm super happy. I could create it, and I have it. So I'm super grateful. But this doesn't go without sacrifices. So, the travel, it's taking a toll. You are tired. You don't eat that well. You cannot have your exercise. Kids grow up very quickly,
exactly,
and if you try to be present, that means that weekends are very busy. So all those type of things, again, it should be with a good balance, etc. But I would say more in general on fear of missing out. That's also one thing we can work and educate, because sometimes people, thinking about, I don't want to fail, going back to the topic here, which is, oh, I will go, instead of trying to say, what does truly matter to our patients? Like, oh, I will want to implement the next shiny object, because that's something that is so much in the zeitgeist, one other German word that I love. So it's so much in the zeitgeist that actually going and pursuing it, either it will be successful and surfing the wave, or it will fail because the tech will fail anyway, and it will be a bit blurred. So I think FOMO, in that sense of the word, is something that's actually to be a bit fought. I cannot tell you how many stupid ChatGPT ideas I was exposed to, etc. And I'm like, guy, I can code it in Excel. This is not artificial intelligence.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. I think we are done. Does anyone have any other questions in the room?
There's a question here.
Thank you. First of all, 2 congratulations. Number 1, this is the most interactive panel we've had in the whole conference.
Thank you very much.
Secondly, the technology that you use, although a little bit difficult to read for people without glasses like me, but it's fantastic. My question is the following. I'm reading all of this, and I'm like, who the hell put the colors? Some are red that look a bit bad, which I don't think is a negative question. Some are blue, like, why did you go away from Lego? I think that should be deeply red. So it proves to me that AI is not everything, and I'm glad you asked a question to the audience in the end, because otherwise, next time, tape you, and I'll be in a room.
Yes.
You can't say that it's about human to human, and then only do this, but I love the way you complemented it. I just challenged the color, and I think whatever algorithm is behind it, I would challenge that, because some of the colors should be red, some of them should be green, and so that's my only question. How does it work? Who decides that one question is a negative smiley and the other one is a positive?
That's fair. That's why you're our human in the loop.
And
So that's very, very fair.
And I blame
Thank you.
Google for this. You know, we implemented Google AI, and Google AI based on extracts the sentiment of the text and gives us then this negative, positive, and neutral. So I will call Mr. Google and ask them to change. No, fair point.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Good.
So I don't know who put the red one, but I don't think it's red. I think it's spot on. So I want you to answer that one. So I've been in the industry for over 35 years. And for 35 years, first of all, you're right, Christian, physicians have no time. But if we talk about our own people first, what I hear for 35 years, I have too many emails, I have too many meetings, and management doesn't listen. How are these new technologies addressing these true pain points? Because I really don't believe we can succeed outside if we don't first succeed inside.
Can I take a first stab at this one? Because it ties to my first intro. I think it doesn't start with technology. Because we will always use or misuse technology in one way or another, you know. Technology is not good or bad. It will be how we use it. So it might just help you have you more things. So for me, the main point, and again, it's being willing and having the mindset to stick out, to fail, not to be always popular, etc. But yeah, I receive way too many emails. I cannot keep track on everything, etc. I learned to let it go. And if someone has something that is truly urgent and wants to find me, we will always make it happen, etc. And things that are important, we bubble up. And I will miss a couple of things. Again, failure, I accept it. I will say, I'm very sorry, and then can we move on and work it out, instead of trying to answer every email. Expectations from management on the projects, same things, etc. If I'm just a good soldier that says yes to everything, I would be burnt out. I have my true north. I know, again, what is important. For me, what's important is me being a patient first, is what could help a patient, etc. Then we'll try to align it, and we go to those common goals. So I think it starts first. Going back to what we were discussing yesterday in fear of failure, we need to accept that we are flawed, we cannot achieve everything, and that once we see that the consequences, no one has ever, bumped my salary because, hey, you don't answer your emails on time.
Can I?
It's like it's like self-driving cars of Mercedes, right? They drive themselves, but you still have to be in control. The human needs to be in control, right? Sorry.
Can I just add? It's not about throwing technology at broken processes. So you go to a meeting. The best thing that can happen for a meeting is to be recorded. You get the notes and the action items, right? So you save a ton of time. If you use that additional time to do more meetings, you won't get. So I think it's not throwing technology at processes. Is finding the processes that are broken and reimagine them through technology.
Time is up.
And I also think, as probably the last comment, that pains me a bit. We hear all about this. I mean, we ourselves implement the multiple AI modules. That's fine. But everybody talks about AI and machine learning and NLP and all these fancy things are the next best thing. But no one is actually going to ask the individual physician what they want. We keep designing stuff that we think they need. And this is fundamentally wrong. So I don't know if that answers your question, but all right, I think it says, Dario says time up, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.